left to Elliott. Oh,
the shot! Bedoya with a goal! 1-0 Union!
Joaquin Torres hadn't made it 30 seconds into his Union debut before contributing to one of the moments of the season, giving the Crew's defense the spins before sliding a gorgeous ball through to Julian Carranza to fire home the team's fourth goal in a convincing opening weekend win over Columbus. Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's Union Insider, your go-to spot for all things Philadelphia Union. I'm your host, Marissa Pilla, and I'm joined by my partners in crime, Shannon Williams and Sebastian Latou. The Union opened up their 2023 campaign with an emphatic 4-1 victory over Columbus Crew this weekend. Philly's offense looked potent, their midfield was organized, and their defense really picked up where they left off last season. From front to back, Seba, what impressed you the most?
What impressed me as well, I think it's Jose Martinez for me. I feel like in the midfield he was so impressive, winning the ball, the energy he was bringing, and kind of like starting an opening season. Usually, the guys are not maybe 100% physically, but you really think like he looked like the same way as he played all last year, and he was really impressive in the midfield, especially like winning the ball and kind of giving this energy the team needed to come back into the game.
He was great on defense as well. You could see him drop back almost as another center back at moments. And Shannon, what stood out to you?
For me, it was the front three. I think after the first 20 minutes, a sloppy first 20 minutes, I thought they really started to click and really started to gel, just like how they left off last year. I think if they can continue to do that, they'll be in for another good season.
It did take a little bit of time for those front three to get everything going, but they did just that because they won 4-1. Saturday night at Subaru Park wound up feeling like a typical February night with freezing temperatures at kickoff. After conceding a rare own goal, the boys in blue found their footing and answered back, finding the back of the net a total of 4 times. Here's how everything played out in what was the Union's first ever broadcast on Apple TV.
Welcome all, and here we go. The Union on the ball to get things started. Swings this ball in. Brought down, Bedoya with a chance. Glesnes tries to lay this off. Another shot blocked away.
It looks as
and it's a penalty. Gazdag looking to tie the game 1-1.
The confidence carried on from last season from Daniel Gazdag. Sends Schulte the wrong way.
Martinez won the individual battle against Zelarayan. Here come the Union the other way. Bedoya able to play this across. What a finish!
Gazdag just takes his time. Bedoya makes a lovely run, plays the ball into Carranza, and it's a wonderful finish because his left foot is right against his body, so he knows that he can't generate the power, so it's more about getting a little bit of a lift on it, and he does that so well.
Union still on it. They play this back, and a shot from distance. Was it deflected over the bar? Penalty. Daniel Gazdag. It's a 3-1 game. And the Union's 22-goal man from a season ago is off and running on opening night with a 2-goal game.
He holds his nerve and he goes the same way as he did with the first penalty, and the result is the same, and that's going to leave a lot of spaces when Union win the ball back, but that's what Wilfried Nancy's trying to do, just to get his team back in this game.
First touch by Torres, not a bad one. Oohs and ahs from the crowd. This ball played in, and a shot to make it a 4-1 game.
First of all, it's good play from Wagner, but when the ball eventually goes into Torres, you just see here, first of all, he uses his strength to get the better of Quinton, then he uses his skill to get the better of Nagbe, and then the pass. The pass is incredible. Carranza doesn't even have to take a touch. It's a centre-forward's dream pass.
And the first one's in the books for Jim Curtin's side. 4-1 is your final.
A 4-1 victory at home, not a bad way to start off the 2023 season for the Philadelphia Union. Shannon, in the second half, the Union's press looked a lot stronger. Their defense closed in on Columbus a lot quicker, and they scored 2 goals in the run of play. What adjustment was key that allowed them to have so much control?
I thought in the second half they started to press higher up the field, which definitely helped them win the ball in better areas. That started at least 2 attacks for them to score goals. If they can continue to press higher up the field, I think they can continue to win those same type of balls, leading to good attacks.
How much did the midfield's adjustment and shape add to that?
I thought they were definitely a little bit more narrow and really closing in on Columbus's midfield, making sure that they won balls back higher up the field. I thought Martinez did a good job, and that really sparked their offense and got them going in the second half.
Speaking of sparking the offense, one of the best moments of the match really came in the second half. It was Joaquin Torres' assist to Julian Carranza. And Seba, it encapsulated his entire creative reputation that has preceded him. You saw his technical ability, being able to spin Columbus's defense, his strength on the ball, and his precision, that final pass to break that seam into Carranza, breaking into the goal. What does it give a striker to have someone give you that kind of service?
I mean, it's great to have a different type of player like Torres, in the midfield. We can play maybe as a second forward as well, but you can see, his quality on his first touch. For his first game for the Union, it was, amazing. You can have a better start, and having, the fans really like bringing the energy too after, when he did this beautiful pass for Carranza, perfect timing. Carranza just a one-touch finish. I think it's great for his confidence, and I feel like now Jim Curtin can maybe play him a bit more minutes, because I think like all the fans want to see him more on the field and see what he can do, and of course help the team score more goals.
He was electric. It was fun to watch. As a forward, does that give you a little more freedom in your creativity? Yeah,
a little bit, and I feel like there's still something we can maybe see more from him. We saw he's more maybe a dribbler as well on 1v1, but it's great for a forward that I think he can have a great vision with like you can see on his passing, very well timing with Carranza, and I think for a forward you make runs, that he's going to look for you and find you.
It's time now for our first team report presented by Green Mountain Energy. The Union went undefeated at home during the 2022 season, and this past weekend they picked up right where they left off, starting this year with 3 points at Subaru Park. Daniel Gazdag, Julian Carranza were the headliners in the 4-1 win over Columbus last Saturday, each scoring 2 goals. Now attention turns to Inter Miami as the boys in blue get set to hit the road for the first time this season. Here's a look at how the Union have fared against Miami since Miami came into the league in 2020. An impressive 3-1-2 record, only conceding 5 goals, 3 of those coming from the now retired Gonzalo Higuain. And while there's still no sight of Leo Messi yet, the Union know they'll be facing a dangerous opponent this weekend.
Yeah, they also got a win in the first round, so I'm sure it's going to be a tough game for us on the road. But we go there for the 3 points, and we will work hard to get it.
Yeah, we're going to do the same as we do always, focus on the week and the trainings, watch videos of the team that we're going to play against. We're focused on that, game by game, tournament by tournament. We're trying to do our best on trainings and on games, so we want to try to do that.
Had a good first week. We recognize that it's only 1 week. Still a lot of things we can improve on as we get ready to prepare for a very difficult trip down to Miami, where we know it'll be about 40 degrees warmer. There'll be some challenges that come with the elements, and also maybe harder, more importantly, a very good Miami team that Phil Neville has very organized and tough to play against.
One of Miami's biggest offseason signings was forward Josef Martinez. He's coming back still from a knee injury from last season, but when he is 100% healthy, he is a pain to defend. He is constantly playing on defenders' back shoulders, sneaking into the attack at unpredictable times, and he's a proven goal scorer, 98 career goals in just 135 career appearances. Seba, how does Miami get the best out of him?
I mean, they need to find him. I was lucky, to see the first game against Montreal over there, and he's not ready yet 100% physically. And the way they play, they love to play with 2 forward, with Campana and himself. But Campana was injured at this game, so he was by himself, forward with 3 under him, and he didn't get the ball as much. I feel like he was not too much involved into the offense against Montreal. But like you say, I think he's hungry to score his first goal for his new team, and he's close to be to 100 goals. So he's going to be, I think, very motivated to find the back of the net next weekend.
In addition to offseason additions like Martinez, Miami also solidified their backline this offseason and seemed to be really buying into what head coach Phil Neville is putting down there in South Florida. What's the biggest test they'll pose for the Union?
Miami in its first couple of years definitely gave up a lot of goals. They're looking to shore that up and make sure that when they do get the goals that they're not also giving up 3 on the backside of things. So if the new players that they've added this year can really step up and come in and shore up that back line, then they'll be a much improved team from the 2022-2023 season.
Looking to make a jump for sure, that Miami team, and the Union will leave straight from Miami to El Salvador for their first match of Concacaf Champions League. How must the Union prioritize the specific roster needs of these 2 separate matches?
I mean, I feel like, I think Miami comes first. At the beginning of the year, you want to start well the season, and, getting maybe a win in Miami is not going to be easy because, like, you said, the roster of Miami is much better team, for them. They won their first game against Montreal 2-0, so they are going to fight, to get this first place as well. But they need, I think, to really prioritize first, the game in this weekend, and then I think what happened in El Salvador with now, I think the help we can get from the roster in the Union, we might see some changes, but I think the most important is to get maybe 3 points in Miami this weekend.
Do you agree? Is it really first things first, MLS regular season?
I think Miami definitely comes first. I think after that, you'll see some changes. Somebody like McGlynn, Bueno, Torres, those are all players that they brought in and brought back to really help out with the depth and making sure that this Union squad gets players ready for each game, whether they're a week apart or a couple days apart.
That's what we talked about heading into this season, was the fact that they needed more depth to be able to handle a lot of schedule this season. That's going to do it for this week's First Team Report. We'll continue the conversation around Miami next and discuss how the team has rounded into form under head coach Phil Neville, plus our keys to a Union win in South Florida on Saturday. That and more when Union Insider returns. Let's flash back to the last time the Union and Miami faced off. You have to go back to last July when the Union walked away with a 2-1 win at Drive Pink Stadium, goals courtesy of a Daniel Gazdag penalty and a second-half header from Corey Burke. Welcome back to Union Insider alongside Shannon Williams and Sebastian Letou. I'm Marissa Pilla. It's time now for our keys to the game, presented by Subaru. Seba, you are up first. When it all comes down to it, what do the Union have to do to get a win in Miami?
I feel like, what they could do better is, to combine between the three on top. I feel like during the game, against Columbus at home, we didn't see a lot of, play between Ura, Carranza and Gazdag, but I feel like against Miami, you kind of play with like a block of 5 defensive and 5 attacking. It's going to be a lot of space, and when they can find each other, and play close to each other, I feel like they can really make some stuff happen together, and maybe just the 3 of them can, score the goal. So I feel like if they really play maybe closer together in that game, I feel like they can find the back of the net.
And Shannon, for you?
For me, it's going to be the counterattacking. Seb talked about the front 3 linking up. We know the Union like to absorb pressure and then hit people with that more direct ball. Can the front 3 collect it and then look to combine like Seba talked about and look to create chances that way, especially on the road when they're against it a little bit and maybe behind the game, they can look into those front 3 and let them combine after that.
What cues will the Union be looking for to know when to initiate that counterattack?
Definitely any time that they're absorbing pressure, can they play that first time ball, then looking to support each other and make sure that they're in and around one another so that they can continue to get forward.
All right, well, diving a little deeper with the matchup in Miami, for the first time in their club history, Miami opened up their season with a win, recording a 2-1 victory over CF Montreal this past weekend. In that match, they played with a lot more intensity and were way more defensively organized than we have seen out of them in years past. Seba, you were on this call for the French broadcast on Apple TV. What did you see from this Week 1 performance that shows you the identity that's being built down there?
I mean, it's like you say, the defense. I feel like, they recruited 2 players in the name of Christophe as a center back. He scored during this game on a corner kick, and you have Franco Negri as a left back, who you are going to see him really pushing forward. So I can see a big battle, between him and Baizo and Bedoya, helping. But then I feel the space will be a lot, on the left side of Miami. So maybe take those advantage, on the counter-attack, like Shannon said. But I feel their defense is much, much stronger with those 2 players, and they're not going to allow as many goals as they did last season.
Franco Negri did get really high, and he gave Miami a little bit more of balance in the attack because now they have options on that left channel. What do the Union's defense need to be aware of with that option?
Just making sure that they're aware of his runs, especially when he's getting forward, making sure that somebody's tracking back and he's not just a free player running on the left side of the Union's defense. Want to make sure that they're tight and don't allow service, and hopefully can look to expose that space after.
That could be a channel that is open. We saw the Union trying to push that space against Columbus, and both of you, it seems like, are saying that space might be there again against Miami.
Yeah, it can be again there, and I saw too in the game, it's all the offensive players of Miami are maybe not physical, but they are very technical. They want to play, the 1-2, the run, and kind of interchange a little bit. But then when they lose the ball, the reaction is not really here yet. So I feel like when they can really win the ball and then find the forward directly, the space will be sometime behind Franco, sometime behind the center midfield, and it's where I think they can punish Miami and score the goals.
Since 2016, he's been the heartbeat of the team. He's their captain, their leader, and a club legend. Up next, we'll sit down with midfielder Alejandro Bedoya on where he got his start in soccer. We'll be back after this. We're back with our Nugget of the Week presented by Chick-fil-A. Daniel Gazdag scored 2 goals and added 2 assists in the win over Columbus on Saturday, becoming just the 4th player in league history to do so in the opening game of the season and the first since 2006. Welcome back. Alejandro Bedoya's impact on the Union is impossible to measure because with him, it's more than goals and assists. It's about being a leader, someone to depend on, someone to take you through the bad times and back into the good. Ahead of this season, Bedoya sat down with us to explain how his soccer story got started.
Comes out to Bedoya. The shot. Bedoya with a goal.
I grew up in a very soccer household. My grandfather played back in Colombia. My father also played in Colombia before earning a scholarship to come here to the States and play. So, you know, I was born with the ball by my bedside pretty much, and balls all over the house. And as I got older, my father was the one that, you know, well, both my parents obviously, would drive us all over the place for tournaments, to games. But my father was the one guy who I actually, you know, was just my mentor, my coach. Growing up in South Florida, in the humidity and the heat, we'd often, you know, wake up really early, 5 o'clock in the morning, just so that, you know, before sunrise, so we can go out to the track and work on my fitness, work on, you know, some things with the ball, do ball work, and he'd always volunteer to be goalie, save some of my shots, or try to at least, and you know, so him coming over here to the States as an immigrant, you know, like many immigrants, for search for a better life for not just himself and my mom, but for his family, for the kids, you know. And you know, through his passion for the love of his love of the game, you know, I think he lives now a little bit vicariously through me, right? Being that I reached the heights that he wished he could, but he was always available, always, you know, even though he was busy working and traveled a lot, whenever he was back home, he always made it a thing for me and him to go out to the park or wherever, a track or anywhere really, to go run, kick the ball around, pass, play together. And he really inspired me and taught me a lot to make it. The most memorable moment of my career so far, oof, that's a tough one. I would say there's a few that stick out. Obviously, just walking out in that field, you know, in Brazil in 2014 World Cup. I mean, a World Cup, it's like the pinnacle of a player's career, and just walking out the tunnel and seeing, you know, all the flashes going off and just thinking, you know, you're about to step foot in a World Cup game, you know, where billions of people are watching. That was an incredible experience. And then just, you know, being able to lift, you know, Eastern Conference champion and Supporter Shield trophy with the Philadelphia Union. You know, I continue to be ambitious. Our goal is to win MLS Cup. Hopefully we can accomplish that while I'm still playing. But you know, to bring the club some silverware and notoriety is the reason I came here.
Whips this to the near post, flicked down.
One more break to sneak in real quick, and when we return, we'll put our hot take hats on and try to answer a seemingly impossible question. Who's the best Union offensive player? Find out next. Last season, Major League Soccer embarked on an unprecedented journey, signing a 10-year rights deal with Apple TV. Earlier this month, MLS Season Pass was unveiled on the Apple TV platform, and that's where you can catch every Union League match this season. You can watch on any Apple screen, Android, Smart TV, the works. And as a reminder, this weekend's game is free to view for everyone. Welcome back. It's almost time to wrap up this week's Union Insider, but first, let's talk some offense. The Union's front three of Julian Carranza, Mikel Ura, and Daniel Gazdag, one of the hallmarks of this team. They're fluid, they're synchronized, and they each always seem to be occupying a different level of the attack. So let's play a little devil's advocate, fellas. If you had to choose just one, who would you say is the best offensive weapon?
It's tough, you know, they are so close to each other, but for me, I think with the numbers, I will pick Daniel Gazdag. just, for what he does as scoring, of course, even if he scores, some PKs, but as an assist as well, and kind of the type of player he is. He's a number 10 for the team, but you see him, not always kind of like trying to come to the ball and find the long pass and not really get involved then in a box. But we saw him sometime, making runs as a third player and kind of be the one finishing, those crosses. And it's kind of very important for me to have like this type of player in a team. And the thing when he starts coming into the team, he really right away, scores a goal, and the confidence is here. You can see all his teammates really like feel he was going to be the first player scoring the first goal, and he did. So I feel like for me, he's the most important player right now in the roster, even if I know it's very tough because they are all very good.
Shannon?
Well, that's a good pick. For me, it's definitely going to be Carranza. I think his work rate, and you add in the goals, he also has some assists. I think he definitely is somebody that I would definitely build a team around. I think it's somebody that does everything that they need and more, and that really helps their group out, and it really starts their attack, especially when he wins the ball higher up the field.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I love him. Number 9, I love this number, but I think, he showed it. 2 goals on the first game, Carranza, I like it, but I feel like he really need to kind of like show us he can score as many goals as he did last year, and I feel like with 2 goals, he's on the right way, but I feel, he still need to confirm because he's still a very young player.
Well, it's a good problem for the Union have, not so great of a problem for everyone else in the league to game plan for. That's it for us. You can catch our show every Thursday night ahead of that weekend's Union action. For Seba, Shannon, I'm Marissa Pilla. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.